Racism is present in human history for millennia. There are many theories about the origins of racism in human society, but the best way to understand how it became normal for centuries among human societies is accepting that humans act with prejudice, thinking that there are superior or inferior peoples, even unconsciously. Trying to explain more about racism, we are presenting this English work. The main theme is racism against black people. We are going to show the origins of the term, important personalities who fought to put an end to racism, scientists and famous historical persons who are explicitly racists, and the current racism in Brazil. In the 19th century, many scientists, inspired by the ideas of the scientist Charles Darwin, subscribed to the belief that humanity can be divided into different races. Then, it was created the term racism, which is a noun describing the state of being racist.
The UN doesn't define exactly the term racism. However, it does define racial discrimination. According to the 1965 UN International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, the term means any distinction, exclusion, restriction, or preference based on race, color, national or ethnic origin that has the purpose or effect of nullifying or impairing the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise on an equal footing of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, or any other field of public life. The world's most famous person who fought against racial segregation is Nelson Mandela. Struggling to put an end into the apartheid in South Africa, he got arrested and remained in prison for 27 years. Then, in 1990, he got released, and years later became the first president elected of South Africa that was black. He also received the Nobel Prize of Peace due to all his efforts. There was also another important name in Brazil, Zumbi dos Palmares, and his wife, Dandara dos Palmares. In the USA, there was Martin Luther King. He became an activist of civil rights at the beginning of his career. He was a Protestant pastor and American political activist. He has become one of the most important leaders of civil rights movement of black people in the United States and in the world, with a campaign of non-violence and love to the next. Among the important people who were racist in our history, there were David Hume, Immanuel Kant, George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, and Abraham Lincoln.
In your country, racism has been terrible for centuries. There was slavery for more than 3 centuries, but we are going to talk about racism nowadays. Despite a long time we do not have slavery in Brazil, racism has still been a current problem. The number of deaths of young black people in your country is larger than the numbers of deaths in war regions. Who says it's Ronaldo Baus, the Secretary of Special Department of Police for the Promotion of Racial Equality? He claims that the death of young black people has already reached the number of 70,000 per year in Brazil. The number is almost 6 times higher than the cases in Gaza, which has the number of 12,000 per year. According to Ronaldo, the number reflects a system of racial inequality. Furthermore, the confirmation of United Nations specialists who visited Brazil in 2013 are clear. In average, black people from Brazil are those who are more assassinated according to International Amnesty. In 2012, 77% of all mothers had victims black people. They have the worst salaries, lowest salaries, larger rate of one appointment. They also die early and have tetanus participating in the gross domestic product. Yet they're the ones who most load the prison and the those who have to fill holes in government.
There are people who say that there isn't racism in Brazil, that all this speech is only exaggeration. However, this discourse is extremely fallacious. At the same time, we are both mixed race and an extremely divided society. As the anthropologist Rosana Pinheiro Machado quoted in an interview to the El País News, despite of the mixed ideology Brazil has, the country has always had the worst of the apartheids indeed, professor in Oxford University. With this brief historical, political, and social analysis, we conclude that it's impossible to recognize, tolerate, accept, or support any racist or prejudiced idea. We are all human. The skin color, in superiority or inferiority terms, does not affect in absolutely nothing. We are all from the same species. Racism does not have any reliable scientific, philosophical, political, or cultural basis. The only basis is ignorance. We all have the same intellectual capacity. There isn't any biological relation between skin pigmentation and brain development. Nevertheless, we shall always keep union and equality among yourselves, looking for a better world.